been a long time coming. Finally got an iPad and I finally got to try Procreate for the first time. I am quite disappointed that I didn't get it earlier. I had you in the first half. I got the 12.9 inch 2021 iPad and I've been using it for the past couple of days, but I want to give you guys my first impressions of Procreate on the iPad as somebody who's used Photoshop for the entirety of their digital art career. So the first thing that I noticed with the iPad is just how smooth it is. It's got a 120 Hz refresh screen, so everything moves extremely smoothly, which is great. So if you look on the screen here, this is a little piece that I made. The top bar and the sidebar are the only controls that you see when you're working on the screen. And I think this helps with the fact that the iPad screen is not the biggest screen in the world, but the Procreate app makes a great effort to make use of the entire screen and give you the biggest surface to draw on possible. And I really like that about the UI of this app. It's just very simple. It almost seems too simple at first as somebody who's coming from Photoshop, but it actually has everything that you need. So I think this is just a case of really good product design. And speaking of the user interface, I kind of picked up this drawing app without really any tutorial videos, without looking up any lessons on how to do things in Procreate. And I think just by doing that, just by playing around with it a little bit, I've been able to figure out where most things are. And that says a lot about the intuitiveness of this program and how easy it is to pick up. I know that the first time I opened up Photoshop, I was just completely overwhelmed. But with Procreate, having had prior Photoshop knowledge, I was able to pick this app up just like that. So far, first impressions, the UI on Procreate is really well done. Now let's talk about the Apple Pencil. This is the tool that we use to draw on the iPad. And from my experience using it, it's felt really good, from the pressure sensitivity to the accuracy of the lines. The only thing that kind of throws me off about this is I'm used to holding this thick rubberized grip on the Wacom pen, and this pen doesn't really feel like it's gonna go anywhere. You know, it doesn't matter how crazy I get with my gestures, it's just like pretty stable and solid. But with the Apple Pencil, because the sides are so smooth, I feel like if I do too much with my hands, it's gonna just slide right out. That's the only thing. I'm a little bit scared about that. I think it's gonna happen eventually. But so far it's been great. It looks good and it feels good. It's even got that little double tap feature on the front to change from your brush to your eraser, which I really like. But sometimes I trigger that accidentally, so I don't know if that's gonna be a problem going down the line, but first impressions, I really like this. But I also want to talk about all the brushes that are available in Procreate. I think this might be the best library of default brushes that I've ever seen in a program. I really can't see why you would need anything more than this. So all of you guys buying your crazy custom Procreate brushes, why? I don't get it. You have so much here. And these brushes aren't just throwaway brushes that they throw in to make it seem like you have a lot of options to choose from, but they all actually have their own individual characteristics. They all work really well, and every single one of these brushes is high quality. So in terms of the brushes that come with Procreate, I am thoroughly impressed, and I've actually had so much fun playing around with these brushes in the first couple of days that I haven't even imported my own custom brushes yet. And I think it makes this whole experience with digital art just really accessible to absolutely anybody. I mean, you really don't need to be a professional in digital art who knows all the ins and outs of the different types of blend modes, the different menus, different adjustment options to be able to pick this thing up and just start drawing on it. But actually, speaking of the blend modes and adjustments, Procreate comes loaded with almost all of the different features that I found in Photoshop. I don't think there's anything that's missing here. It's even got Liquify, which doesn't necessarily work as well as the Photoshop version, but it does get the job done. I think it's just so impressive that they were able to fit all of these features that are important to artists into such a small menu. It's so simple, but I still feel like there's so many things that I haven't discovered yet. Oh, and the gesture controls that are available with the iPad, like 2 fingers to undo, 3 fingers to redo. Absolute time saver. It's just so easy. It's so simple. It's just smooth. Okay, so there are so many things that I like about this app so far, but are there any cons that I found? And I gotta say, maybe a couple. So the number one biggest thing for me, or not the biggest thing, is the screen. Now this screen is 12.9 inches, but I think I've been a little bit spoiled by this big boy right here, which is 24 inches. And when you lay out a workspace here and start working on a painting, you never feel like you're fighting for real estate on the screen. But with this one, sometimes I wish it was just a little bit bigger to really get the big gestures in there. But you know what? I get it. It's got to be portable. It's got to be a decent size so you could bring it places. And I think the simple UI from Procreate really makes the best use of this screen possible. So props to them for being able to make the screen look like this when you're drawing. I mean, it kind of feels like a medium-sized sketch pad. which is not such a bad thing because it makes you want to just pick it up, bring it places, and open it up and start drawing. You know, it's just, again, like really easy. But another kind of limitation that I found in Procreate is the layers. If your file is really high resolution, you might be limited to fewer layers. And I think that just has to do with the hardware of the iPad. It can't really support that, so it has to limit the layers, which I kind of understand. And for me, I don't think that's really going to be an issue because I use very few layers when I'm drawing. But for somebody who's using hundreds of layers, that might be something you want to look out for. And another kind of issue that I ran into, well, I kind of did it to myself, but I applied a tempered glass screen protector on this iPad, which has a little bit of thickness. And sometimes when I draw a line with the pencil on this tempered glass screen surface, the line comes out a little bit wobbly. So it might have a little bit of wiggle to it, even though my brush stroke was completely straight. But I've made sure to try it without the screen protector, and it doesn't seem to do that without it. So I think this is just a problem with the tempered glass screen protector, which I'm gonna take off. I've got a thin film matte screen protector on the way, so when I switch that out, hopefully the experience can be even smoother and even more accurate. And kind of speaking of accuracy, again, this Apple Pencil has a really rounded tip. Now with the Wacom pen, the tip on this nib is extremely small. It's super fine, and when you're drawing, you can see exactly where it goes. But with the Apple Pencil, sometimes it kind of feels like I'm drawing with a pencil that's not fully sharpened because of how round it is. But I really don't think that's going to be a huge issue. It's just something I need to get used to visually. But when I put down the brush strokes, they go pretty much exactly where I want to go. It just seems like I'm drawing with a pencil that needs to be sharpened a little bit. And that pretty much does it for my first impressions of drawing on Procreate. Having been a Photoshop user for my entire life, I think jumping into this program was extremely refreshing, and it's very eye-opening in terms of how non-invasive and intuitive you can make the user interface in a program. So overall, first impressions, very positive. There are some limitations, of course, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And honestly, if you're a beginner artist looking to get into digital art, I think this is a really good way to go. It seems like there's absolutely everything that you need here to be able to make really good pieces, all without the crazy headaches that you're going to get from navigating the menus in Photoshop. But obviously, I'm not going to switch out of Photoshop completely and just use exclusively Procreate. I think there are pros and cons to both programs. And with Photoshop, it's such a powerful program meant to do so many different things. I think the features in that are just so rich. So I'm still going to be using both at the same time. But we'll see, maybe in a couple weeks I'll change my mind. Anyways, this has been a long time coming, so I just wanted to update you guys on my experience with Procreate. And as I get more familiar with this program, I think you guys can look for some pieces to come out from me that are going to be done in Procreate. First impressions, really positive, and I can't wait to bring the iPad around with me to draw in different places away from this table, because I can't bring this guy anywhere. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys have like cool Procreate knowledge and tips, feel free to leave it in the comments for me. And if you guys want to see more digital art content, feel free to subscribe to my channel. But with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next video.